Something is changing in Derry, and episode 4 quietly shows us the moment everything shifts. It's the kind of episode that looks simple on the surface, but if you pay attention, you'll feel the town itself breathing, watching, waiting. Episode 4 doesn't just move the story forward, it cracks open the door to something older, colder, and far deeper than Pennywise's smile. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Episode 4 begins with a strange stillness, the kind of quiet that feels wrong even before anything actually happens. The town of Derry seems almost frozen in place, as if holding its breath. But underneath that silence, there's a soft pulsate reminder that the evil in this town never sleeps. This episode wastes no time in showing us that the danger is no longer creeping. It's here, right under everyone's feet. What makes this opening so chilling is how normal everything looks. Kids walking to school, adults rushing to work, neighbors chatting on porches. Yet every cheerful moment feels like it's sitting just inches above a nightmare waiting to break through. The episode follows the characters moving through their day, but even their smallest reactions reveal how deeply the fear is settling in. Conversations are cut short. Smiles don't reach their eyes. People glance over their shoulders even when nothing is there. This uneasy tension builds slowly, and it's clear that Derry is shifting again, falling back into the same pattern that has repeated for decades. The show uses this calm atmosphere to hide tiny warnings, a sudden gust of wind knocking over a toy, a balloon half deflated on a sidewalk, a faint laugh echoing from a drain. None of these moments last long, but each one tells you something is starting to wake up. Episode 4 also gives us a closer look at how the characters are personally connected to the town's darkness. Small memories slip out in conversations, half-forgotten stories, old fears, childhood nightmares. They talk as if these memories don't matter, but you can feel how heavy they are. It's as if the town wants them to remember, but at the same time wants to twist those memories into something painful. One character mentions an old missing child case, and another quickly changes the subject. But the way their voice shakes says more than their words ever could. These tiny reactions feel so real because they show how Derry affects people long before Pennywise ever appears. As the episode moves forward, the tension thickens. Background noises feel too loud. Empty streets seem too empty. The characters start to sense that something is wrong even if they can't explain it yet. You see it in the way their eyes linger on shadows that shouldn't move, or how they pause before entering a room as if afraid of what might be inside. The show does something brilliant here. It never gives you a full jump scare. Instead, it lets your imagination fill in the gaps. The camera lingers on dark hallways, dim basements, and quiet corners, letting you feel the fear even before anything actually happens. It's a powerful reminder that Pennywise doesn't need to appear to control the town. The fear itself is part of him. By the time the episode reaches its midpoint, the characters begin to cross paths in ways that feel strangely intentional, almost as if Derry itself is guiding them. They share quick looks and tense conversations that reveal how their personal stories might be tied together. Small hints suggest that they may have forgotten important things, and the town is beginning to force those memories back up. The characters don't understand what's happening yet, but the audience can feel it. Derry is pulling them towards something dark, something old, something hungry. This entire first stretch of episode 4 works like a quiet storm building in the distance. You can't see the lightning yet, but you can feel the air getting heavier and heavier. The show doesn't rely on loud scares or sudden appearances. Instead, it lets the dread seep in slowly, making you uneasy even during the calmest scenes. By the end of this section, the characters know something is wrong even if they don't dare say it out loud. And that unspoken fear is exactly what Pennywise feeds on. Episode 4 begins to peel back its layers in a very deliberate way, showing us how the smallest moments can expose the darkest truths. The first major scene centers around a seemingly harmless place, an everyday location that should feel safe. But in Derry, even the most normal spot hides something rotten underneath. The lighting feels a bit too dim, the air seems too still, and the background noise almost disappears, as if the world is holding its breath. One character stops for a brief moment, sensing that something is off. They don't see anything, but their body reacts before their mind does. This is where episode 4 shows its real strength, making ordinary moments feel deeply wrong without relying on loud scares. As we move deeper into the episode, the next key scene focuses on a simple conversation between two characters. On the surface, they're talking about regular life problems, but underneath their words sits a thick layer of fear. One person keeps glancing behind them, the other speaks with a shaky voice they try to hide. They mention the strange things happening around town, lights flickering, animals acting nervous, sudden cold spots in warm rooms. These details seem small, but anyone who knows Derry's history recognizes them as early warnings. The characters don't say Pennywise's name, but they don't have to. The silence between their sentences says everything. Then comes one of the most important scenes in the entire episode. A character walks through a familiar neighborhood, but the neighborhood doesn't feel familiar anymore. Houses look darker, windows seem to watch instead of reflect, and the trees appear to lean in just a little too far. This scene is filled with subtle clues. A red toy ball rolls across the ground without a child nearby. A door closes softly with no wind. A shadow slides across a porch even though no one is standing there. These moments are quick blink and you'll miss them, but they are signs that the presence under Derry is waking up again. The show refuses to point at these clues directly, which makes them feel even more unsettling. The next section of episode 4 takes us into a place tied to the town's long-buried past. Old photographs hang on the walls, showing smiling people who are now long gone. But the photos don't feel warm or nostalgic. Instead, the characters notice small details that never stood out before: eyes that seem to wide, smiles that look stiff, shadows behind the people that don't match the lighting. One character pauses at a photo and whispers something under their breath, as if a memory is trying to break free. This moment hints that the town's history isn't just tragic, it's infected. Derry doesn't remember the truth by accident. It remembers because something wants it to. As the characters explore this space, the tension builds. Footsteps echo even though no one is moving. The air grows colder as they walk deeper inside. A soft creaking sound comes from above, like someone pacing across the ceiling. The characters pretend they don't hear it, but their faces say they do. Episode 4 uses sound as a weapon here, not loud, sharp noises, but the kind that slide into your mind and stay there. It's the kind of sound that makes you look over your own shoulder. Near the end of this stretch, one character experiences a moment that changes everything. It's not a full appearance by Pennywise, but it's a sign of warning. A vision flashes in front of them for just a split second. It's unclear, blurred, almost dreamlike, but the terror in their eyes tells us enough. They're starting to remember something from their past, something they tried to bury. The show makes this moment especially powerful by keeping it mysterious. We don't see exactly what they see. We only feel the weight of it through their reaction. This choice keeps the fear alive because the unknown is always more frightening than the visible. By the time this section ends, the characters are no longer confused, they're scared. They may not understand what's happening yet, but they know it's not normal. They know something old is moving again, and the audience can feel the shift too. The episode makes it clear that Derry's mask is slipping. The cracks are widening, and whatever has been waiting beneath the town is getting closer to the surface. Episode 4 is one of those episodes that hides its loudest screams in the quietest corners. It doesn't wave clues in front of you, it whispers them, slips them behind characters, buries them in reflections, or holds them in the background for only a second. This section of the episode is filled with tiny signals that something ancient is pulling the strings. And the more you look back at these moments, the more they start to feel like warnings. These aren't random details. They are pieces of a pattern Derry has been repeating for decades. Long before Pennywise ever showed his face, one of the earliest hidden details is tied to the lighting. Throughout episode 4, certain rooms are lit with a dull, pale glow, while others are drenched in a strange, warm color that feels off. At first, it looks like normal cinematography, But if you look closely, these lighting shifts appear during moments when something invisible is watching. When the light warms slightly, characters become uneasy. When the light fades into a colder tone, shadows deepen and silence falls heavier. These lighting cues act like Pennywise breathing slow, patient, waiting. It's a signal that the evil underneath Derry is not random. It reacts to emotion, fear, and memory. It listens. Another hidden clue appears in the background props. In one scene, a shelf behind a character holds a porcelain clown figure. It's not flashy, it's not zoomed in on, but it sits crooked, as if it was moved recently. In another moment, a child's drawing is taped to a fridge crude, messy lines showing a smiling face with sharp teeth. The adults in the scene don't react to it, but the camera lingers just a second longer than usual. And then there's the old newspaper clipping visible for barely a heartbeat. The headline mentions a string of disappearances from decades earlier, a story the town pretends never happened. These objects aren't accidents. They are reminders that Derry's past never stays buried. No matter how hard the town tries to forget, one of the most interesting hidden details is the way the show uses sound. When fear is near, you don't hear Pennywise laugh opally. Instead, you hear faint scraping noises, low humming, or the soft tapping of something unseen, always distant, always quiet, always timed with a character's rising anxiety. In one scene, you can hear a muffled giggle behind a wall, but it's so soft you might think it's just background noise. In another, the sound of dripping water echoes even though no water is visible. These tiny audio cues feel like the early stages of Pennywise testing the air, checking his prey, letting them feel just enough dread to weaken them. Signs also appear in reflections. Mirrors show brief movements that don't match the character's actions. Windows flicker with shapes that disappear when someone turns around. One reflection in particular stands out. A character's face appears slightly distorted in a metal surface, just for a moment, almost like something is standing right behind them. The character doesn't notice, but the audience does. Derry has always been a place where reality bends, and episode 4 plays with that idea in ways that reward viewers who pay attention. Another major detail that viewers often miss involves the town itself. Pay attention to the background extras, the people walking in the distance, the ones passing by, the ones looking through windows. Some of them move strangely slow. Some stare too long before turning away. Some don't blink at all. This doesn't happen in every scene, only in moments where fear is thickest. It's a subtle suggestion that Derry's people are not just scared, they're affected, controlled, distracted by something they can't describe. Pennywise's influence doesn't have to show up as a monster. Sometimes it appears as a quiet numbness taking over the town. Episode 4 also hides clues about time. Several clocks in the background show different times even though the scenes occur only minutes apart. A street sign changes color between shots. A character's watch freezes for a moment before ticking normally again. These tiny inconsistencies tell us that time in Derry bends when Pennywise stirs. It's not a simple mistake. This is a town caught in cycles, loops, and moments that repeat themselves. Pennywise doesn't just feed on fear. He distorts the world around it. The final hidden detail worth mentioning is the behavior of animals in the episode. A cat arches its back at an empty hallway. A dog refuses to enter a room. Birds fly away from a building the moment a character steps inside. Animals sense danger long before humans do, and episode 4 makes this idea clear. Wherever animals act frightened, Pennywise isn't far. By the end of this section of the episode, it becomes obvious that episode 4 is loaded with warnings. Every shadow, every object, every sound is a piece of a puzzle showing that Derry is waking up again. The characters may not see it yet, but the town does. The question isn't whether Pennywise is returning, it's how soon he plans to show himself. Episode 4 is more than a chapter in the story, it's a map. A quiet, twisted map leading towards something far more terrifying than what we've seen so far. This episode drops clues in a way that feels almost casual, but when you put them together, they point to a chilling truth: Pennywise might not be returning, because he never left. Everything in this episode suggests that the evil in Derry isn't asleep, isn't waiting, and isn't bound by the rules the town thinks it knows. Instead, it's already moving through the cracks, shaping memories, twisting emotions, and pulling the characters into a place where escape is almost impossible. The theories that come from episode 4 aren't just guesses, many of them feel like warnings planted right in front of us. One of the biggest theories revolves around the idea that Derry itself is alive. In this episode, characters walk through streets that feel strangely aware. Houses seem to lean in, lights dim at the perfect moment, and entire locations behave as if responding to fear. This isn't random. Episode 4 strongly suggests that Pennywise's presence has soaked into the bones of the town. It's not just one creature causing chaos, it's a whole environment shaped by an ancient force. Some fans believe the town acts like a living organism, feeding on fear, adjusting itself to trap its victims, and pushing people exactly where it wants them to go. This would explain why characters keep crossing paths at the right or wrong moment. It's not fate. It's design. Another major theory hints that the characters in episode 4 have deeper connections to Derry's past than they realize. Throughout the episode, several characters experience half memories or sudden flashes of something they can't explain. These moments feel like echoes of other victims, as if the town is recycling memories from different eras. The theory suggests that Pennywise might be manipulating not just fears, but history itself. He could be merging past and present, blurring timelines, and forcing characters to relive trauma they don't even remember experiencing. This would match the way time behaves in the episode, clocks changing, reflections warping, and shadows moving out of sync with reality. Episode 4 hints that the characters aren't just dealing with Pennywise, they're dealing with everything Derry has ever buried. There's also a strong theory that Pennywise isn't the only force at work in this story. Episode 4 uses subtle hints, strange symbols, whispered lines, and old photographs to suggest that a ritual or ancient group once tried to understand or even control the creature beneath the town. Their attempts clearly failed, but their mistakes may be resurfacing. Some scenes show symbols that look similar to things seen in earlier IT adaptations, spirals, overlapping circles, and marks that resemble the ritual of Chud. But here, they appear without explanation, as if left behind by people who discovered too much. This theory suggests that the show might explore a deeper mythology, revealing that Pennywise is part of something larger, something cosmic, something that has touched other towns, other worlds, and other lives. Episode 4 feels like the moment that door begins to open. Another fascinating theory focuses on one specific character who behaves differently from the others. Episode 4 shows them reacting to fear before anything actually happens. They sense danger seconds earlier than everyone else. They hear sounds no one else reacts to. Their memories come back faster, clearer, and more violent. This has led to speculation that they may have been chosen or marked by Pennywise long before the story began. They could be connected to an earlier cycle, maybe even a survivor who erased their own trauma. Or worse, they might be someone Pennywise has kept his eye on for decades, waiting for the perfect moment to pull them back into his orbit. The way episode 4 builds their tension feels intentional, almost like the show is preparing them for a devastating reveal. Finally, there's the theory that episode 4's final clues are setting up the return of something the audience believes is impossible. Pennywise often appears in cycles, but cycles can break. And episode 4 hints that this time, the rules are changing. The fear spreading through Derry isn't the start of a cycle, it feels like the end of one. And endings are usually followed by something bigger, something transformed. Characters keep mentioning the feeling of being watched, even in broad daylight. Something is shifting, not from below the town, but above it, in the air, in the sky, in the places Pennywise traditionally doesn't appear. This theory suggests that Pennywise's next form may not be the clown at all. It could be something stranger, older, closer to what he really is. By the end of episode 4, the theories don't feel like speculation, they feel like the edge of a truth the show is slowly revealing. Every detail suggests that the story is building toward a new understanding of Pennywise, a new origin, a new danger, and a new cycle that doesn't follow the rules we thought we understood. Episode 4 isn't a warning of what's coming. It's proof that it has already begun.